Dr. Nina here, board certified clinical psychologist at Prestige Psychology Suite and sleep expert. We're going to talk about why you can't sleep even when you're exhausted and how to fix it. So let's get into it. In this video, we're going to work on why you might feel wired but tired, and we're going to talk about why you can't sleep at night even when you're exhausted and how to fix some of those things and get the ball rolling in the right direction. So let's hop in. Who is this for? If you're bone tired, but your brain is wide awake when it's time to go to bed, or you've tried melatonin, cutting caffeine, maybe some wine or a drink to sleep, even sleep medications, and yet it's 2 a.m., you're still staring at the ceiling. If that's you, more days than not, this is for you. Don't skip this video. So let's talk about why you might be having some of these problems falling asleep. There are a ton. I could talk for an hour on that alone. But one of the big ones is stress. When you're under constant stress, your body produces cortisol, and it's a hormone that is created to keep you alert because you need it if you're actually in a stress, like a fight flight response. And it's great when you're dealing with stress in real time because you need to be alert and you need to move. If you've been under constant stress, you're not really managing that stress, it will carry over because that cortisol is still going, it's still kicking off. And so it's not so good at night. So you've probably noticed there's times that your sleep gets worse. A lot of times it correlates when there's a stressful situation in your life. And then once that stressful situation kind of calms down or you've managed it better, the sleep kind of returns to baseline. So I call that the performance paradox. It's like your brain gets used to staying sharp and it struggles to power down. That's one of many reasons on why you can't go to sleep when you want to or stay asleep. And this explains why so many high achievers, like high performers, stay wired but tired because you have to function at that level and there's just a higher amount of stress at that level. So your brain never really truly gets permission to rest. Here's a twist. What keeps many people stuck in long-term sleep, it's not just that. A lot of it is high sleep effort. What is sleep effort? It's when your brain is trying so hard to sleep that you obsess over it in a way, or you put a lot of effort and behavior into trying to go to sleep. So maybe you go to bed extra early because you're trying to catch up on sleep or trying to make up for it, but then you end up lying in the bed even longer is what happens most of the time. Or maybe you try to nap in the day more to offset the sleep. You're Googling sleep in the middle of the night, how to get to sleep when you can't sleep. And you're just trying to find ways to control it, right? Not just lying back, letting it happen. You're trying to do things, but some of those habits or those sleep efforts actually cause you to not sleep. It causes you to be up even more because of the effort. Sleep becomes even more elusive, even harder to obtain. So it kind of sucks, right? So what can we do about that? We're going to get into that soon. Let's briefly talk about when sleep trickles into insomnia. And this goes into sleep effort as well. So there's a 3Ps model of insomnia by Spellman. I'm not going to get too deep here, but predisposing factors is the first one. This is equivalent to your risk factors. This is what you're born with, like genetics. So if sleep stuff runs in the family, you already kind of have a higher predisposition to having sleep issues. The next one is precipitating factors, and this is your stressors. So this is the thing I just talked about. When you have stressors in your life, it could be a grief issue, an illness, maybe you just had a surgery, or the stressor in the family, something that's kind of adding extra to it. You'll notice that sleep will increase and worsen. And then when that thing gets more stabilized, that stressor, the sleep goes back down to baseline, as I mentioned before. Then the last one is perpetuating factors, which ties into sleep effort, which I just talked about. So I'm saying this so that you know I'm not making this up. There's research behind what I'm saying. But perpetuating factors is another word for it, is like maintaining factors. And these are habits that you're doing because you're trying to sleep, but they're backfiring. So lying in the bed awake, having inconsistent sleep times and wake times all the time, through the same week, or scrolling and doing things at night when you can't sleep. You get up and you get productive and you get busy. You're kind of doing it because it's like, well, I ain't sleeping. I might as well be productive and get something done. But that actually reinforces and makes it harder for you to sleep. Things like that. Canceling plans because you can't sleep, just worrying about sleep and all of that. All those are under that category of high sleep effort. They're well-intentioned behaviors, but they cause more poor sleep. And really, they lead to insomnia over time if left unchecked. All right, so here are some of the mistakes that people make when working on sleep that backfire. Those maintaining behaviors or that high sleep effort. So scrolling in the bed until you pass out, or turning the TV on in the bed while you're waiting to just zone out. This trains your brain to be stimulated and not rest. It also gives blue light rays kicking off from those things that signal to your eyes and brain not to sleep. While you're doing that to try to pass the time to get sleepy, those are not the best things, especially if you already have sleep problems. Relying on quick fixes like, let me have a drink to go to sleep, or take sleeping pills. There's nothing wrong with sleeping pills, but you can definitely learn different strategies that help you to do it without that. What I find is most people that start them, whether it's over the counter or prescribed, eventually still have problems, either with sleep maintenance. Maybe the medicine helps them fall asleep, but they don't stay asleep because it's not getting to the real issue. So that's another one. So it's a quick fix. It's a fix, but it's a quick one. Trying to power through poor sleep with hustle, staying busy, drinking lots of caffeine, those kind of things. It's like you have to function. So I get that. Like you have to function and push through, but the caffeine and things like that to help you actually ends up hurting you later when it's time to go to sleep. Best to cut those things off by noon. If you're sleeping with intensity, right? Like you're doing all these intense things to fall asleep. You're doing the opposite of what your nervous system actually needs to get there. So, just to recap what we've talked about so far, your sleep isn't broken, it's hijacked. It's hijacked by your brain that thinks it needs to stay ready and stay in go mode to perform. And that's due to consistent stress response kicking off of your cortisol, causing alertness. Alertness is ain't gonna get you go to sleep. The second one is sleep effort, right? That's when you're trying too hard to sleep. Your brain doesn't need more effort to sleep. It needs consistency and calmness. And most people are overcorrecting, and that makes it worse. So far, that's what we've covered. Let's go on to what are some tips and tricks you can do. Now, I'm going to cover 3, but there's 10 plus that you really need to do together in a layering effect to really get the biggest bang for the buck. But these are some of the heavy hitters that if you do these consistently, they should help. So, one is set a buffer zone or a bedtime routine, a nighttime routine that you would do, especially if you have stress that's kicking off, right? So, think about it like an airplane. An airplane can't just go from like in the air flying super fast and land. An airplane cannot just go from in the air to landing, right? An airplane has to gradually slow down and come down, before to get ready to land. That's kind of how your brain is. Your brain's in go mode and you're busy, 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 busy. And then you expect when you go to bed, boom, that it's supposed to just shut off and go to sleep. And it doesn't really work like that. So you have to train it to relax by starting to do relaxing strategies, nothing that's very activating the last 30 to 60 minutes before you're going to go to bed. And that's kind of like the airplane, winding it down, getting your brain into a more calm state, not an alert mode. And it triggers over time that, oh, it's time to go to bed. And you want to do a regimen. All these things are calming. For some people, baths and showers are calming. Some people, that's activating. If it's calming for you, roll with it. Stretching and deep breathing, listening to inspirational stuff. If you're a spiritual person, some people pray, some people journal, but everything you do before it is just kind of chill, relaxing stuff. You can even use like aromatherapies on top of your deep breathing or anything like that. Just things that kind of keep you chill. Nothing activating. No news, no active movies or anything that's going to get you riled up. So you want to do that and you want to do it consistently. Another one would be no staying in the bed if you're awake, right? You give yourself a good 15 to 20 minutes. If you haven't fallen asleep, get out of the bed. And I know you're probably like, what? What? What are we talking about? But yes, you do not want to toss and turn in the bed constantly when you're not sleeping. It's reinforcing an association between the bed and being awake, which is not what we're going for. We're going for when we're in the bed, we're resting and sleeping. And that's all we want to do in the bed. So when you can't sleep, you want to get up. Get up after 15, 20 minutes. If you haven't been able to get sleep, you're going to go to a calm, chill place and do calm, chill things until you get sleepy. Again, you get signs of sleepiness, yawning, eyes heavy kind of deal. And then you're going to go back to bed and give it another go. Not going to cut the TV on or do anything activating during that time. And you're going to keep it dark, but out of the bed. So it could be an ottoman or a chair in your bed, or it could be another space. You want to be comfy there, blankets, pillows, kind of have it ready. And then when you get back sleepy, go back. This breaks that association between your bed and the frustration you're having. The third one would be anchor your wake time. Even on a bad night when you didn't sleep much, you want to still get up at the same time every morning and try not to nap in the day. This throws off your circadian clock, your internal circadian clock, way more than you think. Not to get too techie, but you want to keep that consistent as possible so that your internal circadian clock has a rhythm and a flow of what to expect and you're not throwing it off a whole lot. So those are three you could do that can give you a little bit bang for the buck. I am a national CBTI coach and I'm a certified CBTI provider. I work with individuals struggling with insomnia. I've worked with people that have had insomnia for 10, 20 years and see drastic improvement within 6 to 8 weeks using the CBTI protocol. So it works. It has a 70 to 80% effectiveness rate for long-term sleep improvement, and it's the gold standard over medication. Over medication. But after I worked with so many clients, I was seeing that sometimes CBTI alone doesn't always fully address some of the bigger picture of things. And so I incorporated a few other things that are more holistic and comprehensive. And I created a sleep program for that, especially for those dealing with like stress or some things maybe outside of sleep that may be causing sleep as well. And the results are better sleep, better focus, better life, right? So if you're tired of being tired and you're ready to fix your sleep problem with or without meds, download my free sleep reset guide. It can give you more tips and tricks than what I gave you today. And if you're interested, I have an 8-week program for sleep that includes CBTI and encompasses some other things. Then reach out to me and get on the wait list. It is a very limited group. I take 5 at a time so that I can provide individual feedback for you and really work with you to get the results that you need. So hopefully this was helpful. Like, subscribe, comment, and share for other people dealing with sleep issues if this could be of help to them. And I will see you on the next one.